effort. What did you say to him after the game?
Well, anytime the emotions are so high, you just thank them for the season, and I think we were a resilient bunch all year because we did face much more adversity this year than we probably did last season with 15 returning guys, and been really in playoff mode since the All Star break. So that's 3.5 months of hard hockey, and it's. I thought over the course of this playoff run, I thought we looked tired at times, and that's not no excuse, but we just there was moments during both series where I just felt there was a select few of guys that looked like they've been that maybe the run to middle of June last year and then this whole playoff run here just affected us at times. And then you'd come in and have a great game and you'd be like, okay, I think we're going to be okay. So it's just it's obviously hard to take here with so many returning guys, but we got to give the other team some credit as well. They went into Wilkes-Barre and won game 4 and 5, and then came back here and won 6 and 7. So we also got to recognize that Providence was a heck of a hockey team, and that they were only 1 point behind us, and that they, I ultimately deserved to move on because of what they did in the first 2 rounds.
How much do you think the hard hockey that you played down the stretch on this, does that lead to a lack of consistency, especially in this series?
Certainly possible. We had a little bit of the same issues in against Lehigh, quite frankly. A little bit, obviously, a different type of series where it was an emotional series because it was such a rivalry, but maybe not quite as physical, and how much of a grind as it was against Providence because they were so much of a different team. They had basically 2 really good lines and then 3 and 4 lines that just grind and grind and grind. And obviously that first line today of Schwartz and Simpson and Heinen, we had no answers for them, and it didn't matter which line I had out against them. They seemed to be dangerous all night. But from our perspective, we just, it's tough because last year, and I hate to compare it, but when you have 15 returning guys, you have to compare it. And our depth scoring last year was tremendous, and we had 6 forwards that went through 11 playoff games with not a point. So we were relying heavily on certain guys. If you look at our scoring now that the playoff run is over, it was pretty much 5 or 6 guys. And that's tough to do. That's tough to do because you're needing at times the odd goal from certain guys, and we just didn't get it this year. And not from lack of effort or lack of will, and it wasn't meant to be from that perspective. And those are the type of things you need to get to the finals, and that's what we got last year, up and down the lineup. Unfortunately, this year we didn't get it.
There was unfulfilled promise with this roster this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that we felt after the trade deadline that we were certainly deeper than last year. Liam O'Brien, for example, played it. I think except for an suspension last year, played all the games, and so we certainly had some depth. And but the division was much better this year too. And Providence was a grind. Lehigh was excellent. And they could have beat us just as easily. Because they were so good. It felt a little bit that the Lehigh, in some ways, was a tougher series than the Providence, but. They played well and they deserve to move on. And from our perspective, you may be deeper, but that doesn't mean you're any better. But last year we just grinded it out a little bit more, and like I said, a lot of depth scoring. And that was probably the Achilles heel for us, and why we're not moving on.
Can you attribute any of the loss to the way the divisional playoff format is?
Well, it's. It could be that's a viable question. When you're in playoff mode since February, and we're a smaller skilled team, it's could have taken its toll. And like I say, it's there's pockets of this playoff run that we were hanging on and looking tired, and that didn't go on last year. So that certainly could be a possibility, in terms of just the 12 against Wilkes-Barre and 12 against Lehigh, and your Providence is just it was a tough division this year. It's probably the toughest I've in my 7 years in the American League. So but we just weren't able to pull off that last win.
Did you feel like the momentum flows were sort of killed off a number of penalties, had a little momentum, and
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I thought they certainly really kind of put the hammer down there as really grinded it out well. We weren't getting many looks there towards the end, but still felt good at 3-2. And we had some chances and. Was mixing up the lines, just trying to find some combination with guys that maybe weren't on the score sheet quite yet that could find lightning in a bottle and get a goal or set something up. But the guys, they worked hard, and I'm not going to fault them for that.
Can you talk about a little bit about VTech's play, for the situation they got thrown in? I thought he played spectacular in those 3 and a quarter games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't think. When you look back now, I don't think you can say we lost the series because of our goaltending. Obviously Copley was unbelievable. And we needed that at the trade deadline to match the goaltending tandems that were in our division this year. But, VTech, and I've said this to a number of people, you take out 4 weeks of his season, his numbers are excellent, and just unfortunate we had played Lehigh and Wilkes-Barre for that stretch of hockey there late December and early January. But I thought he came in and, even tonight, you can't really fault him on the goals. And, I'm sure he'd like to have that one back last night. But other than that, he's certainly not the reason we're not moving on.
How does it help the team mentally when you have 2 goalies who can play very well and come in and play clutch when they're called upon?
Well, I think that the guys certainly recognize that VTech had an excellent season. And, he gave us some big starts down the stretch. I mean, we ran with Copley, and that was the reason we acquired him at the deadline. But I know his first start the other night in Providence when they had a great A opportunity within the first 3 minutes of the game, and guys were up on the bench and real happy for him. So he's got a bright future, and he's only 21 years old. So the guys really rallied around him as well and felt that he could carry the load through this series, and then we would have see what happened with Copley going forward.
You played the bulk of really the last 2 seasons with the same core of guys. Does that kind of make it a little bit difficult tonight, saying goodbye and not knowing if you're going to have those guys back?
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some turnover. We'll have to wait and see what happens in Washington. But yeah, you kind of felt last year once the team took off around December and we made that long run that you could potentially get back this year. And I thought Washington did a great job of making us deeper and acquiring some personnel that could help us try and get out of our division. But I guess we'll see over the coming months what'll be back. But I certainly feel that there's still going to be a pretty good core back, just because we got so many young guys that started their entry-level deals last year, and they all can't play in Washington. So, I still think that there'll be some pieces back from the last 2 years. And, Travis Boyd played over 100 games last year, went to developmental camp, and never missed a game this year, and another 11 playoff games. So, those type of players maybe get a little bit of extra rest. That's not something you want to hear right now because you obviously want to play till mid-June. But I still believe there'll be a real good core back next year.
With this roster now, I mean, obviously there'll be turnover, but is there anything you maybe would want to have on your wish list to add to this roster?
Well, I think that certainly we're going to talk to Washington. They do a great job of making sure we're very competitive here, and I'd like to certainly think we got to have a balance of maybe adding some more size, and we certainly had enough skill and scored enough goals during the regular season, but the wear and tear there during this playoff run seemed to, especially against Providence, so we'll see what's out there and see what we can do in terms of building another team that can compete.
The Capitals are going to go through, obviously, with their salary cap situation and overhaul, and probably have some of your young players up there. Does that worry you at all? There's a lot of skill that may not be, immediately replaced in the next season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you look at our team, and I don't know what's going to take place there. I mean, but certainly there's going to be some openings because they just can't have everybody back, and whether they feel there's whether it's a Stevenson or a Verano or these type of guys are ready for the next step. Those are the type of guys you're going to have to replace here, right? Now they all can't go up there. But there's certainly potential for 2 or 3 guys that could see there some time there. But that's for those the Mac and Trotzy to make those kind of decisions, and then we'll just wait it out. And but they do a great job of identifying what we need here. And I mean, once the dust settles in Washington, at least we'll have an idea of what pieces they need to sign to make us competitive.
How do you think Verona played and rebounded after his last series?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I thought he was okay. I thought he was average. He had some spurts there. We could see his speed there, but it was a tough year for him at this level, for whatever reason. And he obviously got injured there, and I was going to go back to the same lineup, quite frankly, tonight, but the doctors gave him the clearance yesterday, and I had a conversation with him this morning, and I felt it was a kind of a twofold thing. He hadn't been on the score sheet yet in this playoffs, and obviously we're still trying to develop here as much as we are winning, and he is a first-round pick, so I thought we'd put him in, and maybe he gets a goal or sets up something. So, but I thought he had his moments tonight. But when it comes to Jacob Verona, I would have to say it was probably a tough year here for him, and he was up and down quite a bit, and just some inconsistent play. And hopefully he can correct that as he moves forward. And maybe it's in Washington, maybe it's back here. I'm not sure. He's the one that's going to answer that. In terms of with his play.
Is you disappointed at all in the way your team played in the third? They should have given more.
Well, I don't think I don't think you can say your team's not giving anymore. I mean, the bench was awesome, and guys bleed right up until they scored that fourth goal that we were going to potentially get it. But from an offensive perspective, we didn't generate too much in the third, and sometimes you got to give the other team some credit. We're obviously not the best team in the league because we're out now. So they were defending well, they were protecting the middle of the ice well, and we did the same thing against Toronto last year. I just felt that we were going to win. And they were probably feeling the same over there. So you can't just say that it was our fault. So, you got to give the opposition some credit as well.
Is it difficult to balance the whole philosophy of coaching to win versus coaching to develop?
No, I think the affiliation's done an unbelievable job here since 2005-06 of doing both, and we'll continue to do both. But you certainly, from a coaching perspective, have to balance that because it's important that these young players play, and you got to earn it. Nothing's given to you here. You're not just automatically going to go in the lineup. You're gonna work towards it and deserve to play, and you're gonna play the right ways. And we can handle mistakes, but at the same time, I think that makes them better players. And it's very difficult to win the Calder Cup every year. It's impossible. There's too much parity, too many good teams out there, and that's what we've seen here this year. And but at the same time, I think there's progression in a lot of our young players, and that's what it's about. You look at a Christian Juice. What he finished second in the league, and he's up there again. I think he was second going in the power playoff and scoring, and so there's a number of cases here that we can make that our players have certainly come along when it comes to the prospects.
You've been on long runs in this league in the playoffs. How far and how much damage can this Providence team do?
Well, I think they do a good job of protecting the middle of the ice, and they're great on their forecheck. I love their forecheck. I thought our breakouts over the last 3 games were better, but that was one of the reasons we had so much trouble with them early in the series. And Copley was the difference maker back early in the series. So I haven't really seen a lot of, obviously our division was so much stronger than the other division, or looked like it anyway, in terms of the point totals but I remember back at Christmas really liking the Syracuse team. That's before they went through all that injuries, and I felt that they were something to reckon for. Now, I don't know who won the game tonight, but I also felt Toronto was very good. We played them towards the end of the season after all those trades. So, but I'm sure they'll be well prepared, and as long as McIntyre's on, they'll certainly have a chance.
Last one. Yeah. Is there anything to how this team played at home with just one home win in the playoffs?
Yeah, the Giants Center has been such a great spot for us over the years. Even my tenure here in the 3 years, and it's tough to explain. We had trouble on the road early in the year, and then we went on something like a 9-1 run or 10-1 run. So you can just by that, it's anybody can win on the road. We did it, or if we hadn't done it, we wouldn't have made playoffs. In Providence, they were excellent during the regular season, and they went into Wilkes-Barre and they had the most points in the league. So there's no real reason for it. I thought we played hard here at home, and unfortunately we were 1-5, and that's one of the reasons why we're not playing anymore. We're not able to secure wins at home, especially in this series. We were able to, squeak it out in the first round, but certainly not in the second. So, that and a combination of depth scoring is probably the main reasons why we're going home here tonight. Oh, good. Thank you.